Hello everybody, kia ora and welcome to this video. This is a roundup of some of the main events happening in 2025 and a little bit of an explanation of the background or the overall tone or feeling of 2025. My name is Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar. I make calendars like this one for Australia and New Zealand based on Southern Hemisphere astrology, but that's from the tradition of Western tropical astrology adjusted for the Southern Hemisphere. Now, I do have some promotions I want to make, and that is for Evolve in a Day Festival that's happening on Saturday. I'll talk about that in a minute. And for my astrology teacher, Ksenia Moore of the Royal Stars Academy. So I'll talk about them in a minute as well. But first of all, a little bit about the overall background of 2025. So one of the main things happening in 2025 is there's kind of two main things that will be an overall tone. One is that we have a mini grand trine, and that is between Pluto in Aquarius, technology, new ideas, innovation, transformation of the grassroots, of the masses. We have Neptune and Saturn moving into Aries, and they're right on the world axis, the 0 degrees of Aries, new starts, initiative, enterprise, pioneering, a fighting spirit. And with Neptune we've got spirituality and imagination and dreaminess and compassion. And with Saturn we've got the seriousness of doing things properly, slowly, in a sensible way, building for the future, structure, limitations and rules. And then we've also got Uranus moving into Gemini from Taurus. Uranus is disruption, new ideas, innovation, technology, new ways of doing things we can't even imagine now. And these four are forming a mini grand trine made of a trine and two sextiles, a little triangle right through the next few years actually, and we've been under it in the end of 2024, but it's really playing out in 2025 and beyond. And this is going to bring us innovative new ways of thinking about the world, seeing the world, communicating, technology, spirituality, so much. With the sextile and trine, it's flowing and easy, and we're just going to be bursting with new ideas and new things are going to be coming in. Yeah, amazing. And the other thing is we're under the influence of Saturn moving closer and closer to Neptune, and that becomes exact in February 2026, but that's a big one playing out over the whole year of 2025. We're building up to that Saturn, slowly getting closer and closer. They get very close in the middle of the year in 2025, but they don't quite come to an exact conjunction, and then they separate a little bit again. But overall, we're going to have that Saturn, sensible, serious, restriction, rules, doing things properly, doing things slowly, with almost the opposite energy. Saturn is boundaries, Neptune is boundless, it's open, everything is connected and joined, spiritual connection, the imagination and dreams can flow, the other realms, the energetic realms that we don't normally have much to do, we don't always get the clear messages about those in life. Not like Saturn, which is very much about the material here, now, the physical plane. And those are coming into conjunction. So they'll be mixing together. And we might be finding new ways to create something that's grounded, but also hugely imaginative, spiritual, compassionate. Let's see what happens. It's so exciting. Let's get on with the video. Okay, so the main events of 2025. Just before I get into them, I want to do some promotions. First of all, I want to talk about the Royal Stars Academy. I joined up in Ksenia Moore's intermediate course in 2023, and I found it's a fantastic course. You can do a beginner's course or an intermediate course. Both of them are so thorough, so in-depth, really well structured, and Ksenia's really inclusive and encouraging. She's makes you feel, I don't know, she makes you feel special, and she includes everybody, and there's a monthly Zoom meeting that you can attend and join in with all the other people learning. So that's a fantastic thing to do if you're thinking of studying astrology and getting more serious about your astrology. Okay, and I also want to promote Evolve in a Day, and this is if you are near Nelson or live in the Nelson area. On Saturday the 11th, I'm recording on the 8th of January, and I'm presenting a workshop at Evolve in a Day. It's at the Kindred Yoga Studio. The workshop I'm doing is on the stages of life in astrology. Okay, so throughout our lives, there are certain transits that affect everyone at certain ages. And you might have heard of the Saturn return at age 29, 30. That makes you feel like serious, and you want to probably change something that you've been doing. Maybe you've been living in a light-hearted way or a more immature way. And often at the Saturn return, there'll be some big change that comes from within where you want to settle down and commit to something. Saturn can do that. That's just one example. So I'm going to talk about life stages right up to 80s, 90s, because there's many things going on in our lives that affect everyone at certain ages. Okay, so come along if you'd like to enjoy that. There's also going to be other workshops, dancing, lots of cool things to see there. Okay, and I also, of course, want to promote my calendar. I make a calendar for Australia. There is the Australian cover, and a calendar for New Zealand, and that's the New Zealand cover right there. And here's an example of the Taurus page for New Zealand with the taka here representing Taurus, and the Gemini page for Australia with the Whakatū, the friendly, neighbourly, chatty Whakatū representing Gemini, the sign of friendly chattiness and neighbourhoods. Okay, so the way I've set out this video is in lunar months, and so I'm going to start from the lunar month of Capricorn, which started with a new moon in the sign of Capricorn on the 31st of December 2024, leading into 2025. And those of you who watch my weekly videos will know that I've been banging on about Mars retrograde. Mars retrograde is a big deal because we can really feel during that time until 24th of February that we're going back over things. We're trying to take action and not getting very far. And where we put our energy and our determination is something that we're reviewing at the moment. It's under review. And that will be until the 24th of February. Okay. And then after that, we might want to move forward with things, but shortly after that, we're actually going to have Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde. So the whole first part of the year until April, there's some really huge stuff happening astrologically. New things, transformational things. But at the same time, we've got these personal planet retrogrades that can just make us feel like we're not moving forward. So a mixture of things. Okay. And then in January, we've got the lunar nodes. So the North node moving into Pisces out of Aries, and the South node moving from Libra into Virgo. All right. So the nodes are not a body in the sky or an actual thing. The nodes are a mathematical calculation. They're the point where the sun and moon connect or meet. Their paths traverse each other, and that calculation is where the eclipses happen. All right, so it's not eclipse season in January, but the point where the eclipses will happen moves into Pisces and Virgo in January. In mid-January, the true node moves into Pisces, and that is a point that goes, it's moving around backwards and forwards. So many astrologers focus more on the mean node, which is the one I've used in the calendar, and that moves into Pisces and Virgo at the end of January. Wherever these are, this can be a point of sudden change that feels fated or destined. And the North Node in the sign of Pisces means that we're going to be moving more towards Piscean things over the next year and a half. So more towards imagination, dreaminess, charitable feeling, flowing energy, compassion. Everything is connected in one, and we can just be and flow like a water plant or a fish, just flowing backwards and forwards, mutable energy, exploratory. Whereas Virgo, which is leaving behind, because the South Node is in Virgo, and that's an area where we will be becoming less focused on. Virgo is really quite practical. It's also that mutable exploratory energy, but it's more grounded and practical, wants to do things in the real world, the earthly realm. It's not all mystical like Pisces. With Virgo, it's how we use our minds to analyze, how we organize our daily lives, our daily work, our routines for health and nutrition, and keeping things clean and organized, sorting things out. Okay, so we might be leaving behind some of our left brain focus, some of our daily work even, and moving more into that dreamy, mystical realm. Okay, we're going to get a bit ungrounded, I think. All right, and then on the 29th of January in Australia and the 30th of January in New Zealand, we've got a new moon in the sign of Aquarius. So a new start in Aquarius matters. Of course, we've got Pluto in Aquarius now. And in that month, on the 24th of February, Mars stations direct. So we can start feeling like we're moving forward more with the things that we take action. We've completed that review time, and it will be followed up soon by Venus turning retrograde. So it's not over yet in the review time, but that Mars one is a good one to get through. Okay, and we've also got from February to March a real Pisces, crazy Pisces energy. Not crazy, but it's just so much stuff going on in Pisces in that time. So a stellium is when a number of planets are all lined up in one sign, and it goes February to March, even to April. There's stuff going on in Pisces. We've got Neptune in Pisces. Neptune has been in Pisces for 14 years, a really long time. And during that time, at the end of March, Neptune actually moves into Aries. But it's pretty intense in Pisces up to then, because the 29th degree, which we've been at for a while, is making things like seem kind of hard to do with water, spirituality, escapism. And we've also got Saturn in Pisces, as we have for around 2 years, making things seem serious and hard. But then Saturn is going to move soon into Aries. The North Node, as I just said, has moved into Pisces, making things happen that can seem like a fated, destined change. The North Node is going to come into conjunction with Neptune on the 23rd of February, maybe making things really confusing, but possibly bringing some kind of destined gift. And then the North Node is going to be conjunct with Saturn on the 14th of April. Maybe not easy energy. We're going to have the normal season of Pisces where the sun goes through Pisces and we have a new moon in the sign of Pisces. Also, Venus is currently in Pisces as I'm recording this, but then Venus will move into Aries, but retrograde back into Pisces. And Mercury is going to do the same thing soon, go through Pisces into Aries and then retrograde back into Pisces. So much. I just think that first part of the year is going to be, I don't know, we're going to be a bit away with the fairies. the good side of it is like really lovely imagination and creativity and spiritual connection, unconditional love, charitable feelings and charitable acts. And then the downside could be just too much escapism, too much trying to get away with the world, too much confusion, illusion, delusion, addictions, whether that's workaholism, drug use, any kind of substances. Whatever you do, or whatever we do that's trying to escape, there might be just we go overboard with that. Let's see what happens. Try and avoid getting caught up in deceptive situations, but also really enjoy the imaginative, ethereal mysticism. I'm going to love it. So creative. I think it's going to be so creative. Okay. And then we've got the new moon in Pisces on the 28th of February. So with that lunar month, what are the specific things happening? Venus turns retrograde on the 2nd of March. And this is a time where, until the middle of April, we'll be reviewing our relationships, our one-to-one relationships, whether those are love relationships, intimate relationships, or business partnerships, or anything where we're working on a one-to-one way with others, okay, or friendships. Our money, our finances, and our sensuality, our sensual pleasures. Not so much the pleasures of the imagination, but more the earthly pleasures, comfort and aesthetic beauty, just what looks beautiful. We'll be reviewing what we think about that, maybe our style, the way we dress. Okay. This is a classic time during Venus retrograde for an ex to appear, like to send you a message from the past, deep within the past, or you bump into them and you haven't bumped into them for, years, and then they show up. Yeah, so see what happens there. And then we've got the first lunar eclipse on that Pisces Virgo axis. So that lunar eclipse is on the 14th of March at 23 degrees of, round it up, 24 degrees of Virgo. And with that, an eclipse is like a full moon, but with way more energy. It can bring some kind of transformational change. And as a south node eclipse, there could be some letting go to do. There could be a culmination point or a gift, a reward of something that you've worked on in the past. Or things can be revealed that you weren't aware of. And Mercury turns retrograde on the 15th of March, and it will be so until the 13th of April. And as I said, it starts from 9 degrees of Aries, and then it is going to move back into Pisces. Mercury retrograde, that happens 3 times a year. It affects our planning, our business dealings, trade and exchange, communication. It's a really good time to cross your T's and dot your I's and check things twice. But usually, however careful you are, things will show up that you need to fix up, mistakes from the past. And it's all okay. It usually ends up just fine. It just can take a little longer. And just to show you on the calendar, the personal planets are really clearly marked, the retrogrades of the personal planets, because I feel those are really noticeable. So on every square, so each of those, so you can see the 4th of August, 5th of August there, and then the week below, the 11th of August, there's a yellow line to show that is a time of Mercury retrograde, and the dates of the retrograde are also set out there. Okay, so that you know what they are. And now we're going on to the lunar month of Aries that starts on the 29th of March when there is a new moon in the sign of Aries. It's not just a new moon, it's a solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. And even though the North Node has moved into Pisces, this new moon comes close enough that there is an eclipse. And that is at 9 degrees of Aries. And it's actually at the exact point that Mercury turned retrograde. So that might bring back something that came up at the moment that Mercury turned retrograde. Eclipses bring sudden changes, and with a solar eclipse, it could be a beginning that feels kind of distant or karmic, something new. And because it's in the sign of Aries, it might be something that's maybe been building for the last year and a half while the North Node has been in Aries. So let's see what happens. Okay, and then, whoa, moving into the Aries energy, the Pisces moves into the Aries, and this is the world axis, one of the really important points on the zodiac wheel, 0 degrees of Aries. Neptune, for the first time in 160 something years, moves into the sign of Aries, so never before in our lifetimes. And Neptune has been in Pisces for 14 years. It's so at home in Pisces because it's the modern ruler of Pisces. Neptune and Pisces, they go together. They're dreamy, they're mystical, full of illusion and imagination and creativity. But in Aries, Neptune's still going to be all of that. Watery, mystical, ephemeral, the energetic realm. But in Aries is more grounded, fiery, pizzazzy energy of initiative, entrepreneurship. Not good at saying that word. A pioneering spirit, a fighting spirit. So we might see some spiritual initiative, imaginative enterprise, fighting for charitable causes. This is going to be over the next 14 years, but we might notice some things coming up at the moment, or the few days or the few weeks around that ingress. So exciting. One of the really big events of 2025. And this is just to show you, I've got a page in the calendar that talks about the 3 big ingresses of 2025, really big year. Neptune moving into Aries, Saturn moving into Aries, Uranus moving into Gemini. Wow, there's a lot in 2025. And just to show you that, as well as all the big stuff going on in 2025, the calendar, the Aotearoa Sun and Moon calendar, or the Australia Sun and Moon calendar also shows you the little stuff. So it's got daily aspects and transits on each calendar month, and you can think, okay, we want to do such and such on the 6th of April. Let's see what's going on the 6th of April. And you can see there on the 6th of April, the Sun is sextile Jupiter. That's nice. Venus retrograde is trine to Mars. That's nice. I don't know. That could be a good day to do something. Yeah. Okay. And also the big things are marked with a different color. Okay. All right. On the 13th of April, finally, the final of those 3 personal planets, Mars, Mercury, Venus. Venus turns direct, finally. Okay, all that retrograde energy through from December, and we can feel from this that we're moving forward more. Okay, and then we have a new moon in the sign of Taurus, so we've moved out of eclipse season now. This is a normal new moon, and just to show you, that's how the lunar month starts. Okay, so the calendar's set out in lunar months, not calendar months. So that new moon starts on the 28th of April, and it's the start of that lunar month. And every month has some new moon questions that you could ask the universe or yourself and ponder upon or meditate upon. So for that Taurus, you've got, what resources do you need for a new life? What pleasures and comforts do you enjoy? Because that's a real Taurus thing. How do you value, care for, and adorn the important things in life, the things that are important to you? Okay, and there's a couple of others there. So every new moon has some new moon questions that you can think about. Okay, and then on the 25th of May, one of those important ingresses, Saturn moves into the sign of Aries. Restrictions and boundaries and a sensible approach and good structures coming to the Aries part of the chart. So Aries is about initiative, new bold steps, and sometimes war and fighting. And I'm hoping this brings some restriction to fighting, and we could maybe have some, some more peace because of that. But this is also with Saturn getting very, very close to Neptune, but it won't quite become exact this year. All right, and then there's a new moon on the 27th of May. Okay. I need to rush a little bit now because I've got to go to work. So I'll talk quickly. Okay, so on the 10th of June, we've got Jupiter moving into Cancer, and Jupiter changes signs every year. Jupiter stays for 1 year in a sign, and Jupiter's been in the sign of Gemini up to that point, from the middle of 2024 to the middle of 2025. And in Gemini, Jupiter's been like expanding and bringing luck and optimism and new opportunities to the sign of Gemini. And Gemini is like neighborhoods and trade and exchange, chatting and chit-chat and connections, social media, and any kind of communication, brothers and siblings as well, brothers and sisters, okay? When Jupiter moves into Cancer, it's going to be the Cancer area of your chart that gets the Jupiterian luck and optimism and benevolence. And Jupiter's really happy in Cancer. So this is going to be an easier energy. It's already pretty lovely having Jupiter anywhere, but it will be easier and even more flowing in Cancer. So we might see an expansion of nurturing, intuition, emotional safety, and some luck and good feelings and good vibes in that area. And any part of your chart that Cancer falls in, that's where you will have some blessings over that following year. Okay, and then we've got winter solstice. So this is the turn of the year, and I hope one day we celebrate this as the real new year more widely. In New Zealand, we have the Matariki celebrations to mark this time, not always falling right on winter solstice, but I think this year it does very closely. It's a dark time, a slow time, a time to withdraw and review, say goodbye to what is gone, say goodbye to who has gone, who has passed, and then move into the new year quietly and gently, the end and the beginning of the year. Okay, whatever country you're in the Southern Hemisphere. Then we've got a new moon on the 25th of June in the sign of Cancer. Okay, and at that time, 7th of July, we've got Uranus moving into Gemini. Boy, this is going to be quite a big thing, because so Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus, and Uranus is zingy and zappy and innovative and new ideas and disruptive and awakening, whereas Taurus likes to be slow and steady and move in a placid way. But Uranus and Gemini they're going to match each other really well. They like the air energy, the airy energy, like lightning bolts, new ideas. So things are going to move so fast with technology and communication. And I don't know, maybe we're going to learn telepathy under this, especially with Pluto and Aquarius. I think the innovation, yes, is going to be all that innovation with AI, of course. But maybe we can learn telepathy. I hope so. That would be really cool. And then all start really connecting together in that way. That would just really jump us forward as humanity. Okay. And then on the 13th of July, that's the closest point of Saturn coming very close, nearly to conjunct Neptune. It's exact in February of 2026, but we're so going to be on that energy of the restrictions, the boundaries, the blockages, but also the desire to develop good, slow structures and build for the future around Neptunian matters. water, mysticism, charity, helping the underprivileged, retreat, spiritual connection, imaginative creative projects. Exciting. And then we have another Mercury retrograde from the 18th of July for 3 weeks. So that's another time to be going over things, checking your communication and fixing up mistakes. Okay. Then there's a new moon on the 25th of July, and that is in the sign of Leo. So it'll be Leo season then. And at that time we have one of many, maybe 3 actually, Saturn sextile Uranus times. And this is part of that backdrop of that mini grand trine that I talked about at the start. Let's see if, oh yes, there it is. So that's how it looks in the calendar. We've got Saturn and Neptune together. We've got Uranus at a sextile to those, and trine to Uranus, sextile to Saturn and Neptune. We've got Pluto. So we've got that little shape in there. I've done the triangle there. It's got a little bit off kilter there, but that mini grand trine that's made up of 2 sextiles and a trine. So this is a part of the big backdrop of 2024 to 2025, 26, I think also 27. New technology. How do you mix these together? Innovation, technology, spirituality, communication, connections, and also the restriction and the rules and the boundaries of Saturn, and to make something that's really well structured and for the long term. Flowing energy and positive vibes, helping those, but very slow and subtle, and as a backdrop, because these are the slow outer planets. Whew, such interesting times we live in. Going really fast now because I've got to go to work. 23rd of August, we have a new moon, the first new moon in the sign of Virgo, and it's around about 1 degree of Virgo. We've got 2 new moons in the sign of Virgo. And in that lunar month, we've got Uranus sextile Neptune, and that's part of that mini grand trine that I was talking about. And these two are going to sextile several times, okay, over a few years, couple of years. And we've got Saturn now retrograde, moving back into Pisces to finish off some stuff in Pisces. Okay, so Saturn had moved into the sign of Aries once in 30 years, but it's gone back briefly into Pisces until February. Then we're in eclipse season again, and we've got a lunar eclipse. This is the first eclipse in the sign of Pisces. And so that's going to bring sudden changes, transformational changes that feel fated. There might be some endings because it's a lunar eclipse, or a feeling of a peak or a culmination point. Okay. And then we've got the second new moon in the sign of Virgo, and this is at around about 29 degrees of Virgo, and that's on the 22nd of September. And we've got a solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo, bringing new beginnings that feel fated and karmic, intense and sudden changes of direction with eclipses. So we're right, that's the eclipse season. Okay. And then we've got a new moon in Australia. It's on the 21st of October, and in New Zealand it's on the 22nd in the sign of Libra. Okay, and with that time we've got Neptune, having been in Aries since March, moving back into retrograde into the sign of Pisces, only briefly until January of 2026. Okay. And then also with this retrograde time, Uranus moving back into Taurus. It's had moved recently into Gemini, and then it's moving retrograded back into Taurus to finish off some work in Taurus. So there's lots of this review time with that outer planet action in the second part of the year. And then we've got the third retrograde of Mercury for the year, and that's from the 10th of November until the end of November. And it's in the signs of Sagittarius and Scorpio. So again, that's a time for checking mistakes, fixing things up, being careful with communications, and expecting things won't always go smoothly, but it's just for a few weeks. And then we've got a new moon in the sign of Scorpio, okay, on the 20th of November. And here we have another of those Uranus sextile Neptune, intensifying that backdrop we've got with the mini grand trine between Pluto, Uranus, Neptune and Saturn. Okay. And finally, from the 20th of December until the 18th of January 2026, we've got the Sagittarius lunar month, starting with a new moon in the sign of Sagittarius on the 20th of December. Okay, and that brings summer solstice, the peak of the year when the sun moves into the sign of Capricorn, and we can celebrate abundance and optimism, vitality and energy. Okay, the fullness of the solar year. Okay, and then looking ahead into 2026, Saturn conjunct Neptune on the 21st of February. Okay. So there we go, everybody. A quick roundup of 2025 and what it's looking like. Remember to order your Aotearoa or your Australia Sun and Moon calendar from sunandmooncalendar.com or sunandmooncalendar.nz. I have to rush off to work now. I'm not sure I'll have time to do a weekly video this week. Hopefully I will. I'll see how I go. Because I'm presenting that workshop on Saturday at Evolve in a Day on the stages of life. But anyway, I will be back either this weekend or the following week. Have a great 2025, everybody, and just a great day today. Bye for now. See ya.